first, we're going to go ahead and give the medical disclaimer. The information provided is for educational purposes and is not intended as medical advice or a substitute for medical advice of a physician or other qualified healthcare professional. We do not aim to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any illness or disease, and you should always consult with a doctor or other healthcare professional for medical advice or information about diagnosis and treatment. The information provided in this presentation has not been evaluated by the FDA or any other medical body. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Dr. Doreen Narbo, and I am your host on today's call. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a clinical researcher and an author of several books. Welcome to our Tuesday call with Clayton Thomas, who is the founder of Root. Clayton has over 25 years of experience in the health and wellness industry. And for the past 16 years, he has been focused on detoxification and supplementation formulations with a simple philosophy, cure the cause. Hello, Clayton, and welcome to our call.
Happy Tuesday. And it's one of my favorite times, right? We get to talk about outcomes.
Absolutely. So today we are going to present an ISNS case study. We did this, was one of the first case studies we did. So now we're revisiting a year later. Can you believe it? It's been a year already. That's pretty amazing. So we had some very interesting results. Well, last week we had our special guest, our birthday boy, Dr. Stefan Rao. And he talked to us about HRV, heart rate variability, using the Restore the Trinity products. If you haven't seen that talk from last week, it's posted on the YouTube, the Root Brand's YouTube channel. So today we're going to present an ISNS case study on non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So a healthy liver does not contain any fat or very minute amount at most. But not in non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, it is a metabolic condition associated with fatty liver, where excess amounts of fat are present in the liver due to non-alcoholic uses. So this disease was once considered a disease of the Western world, but has now begun to escalate throughout Asia as well, and it's becoming a global problem. And currently, this affects approximately 25% of the world's population, including 10% of children, due to escalating obesity rates. And additionally, researchers report that 1 in 3 persons suffer from early stage of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And left unchecked, it could lead to cirrhosis of the liver and cancer over time. So the risk factors include obesity, type 2 diabetes, being overweight, metabolic syndrome, hypertension, hyperglycemia, low serum HDL, and with high serum triglyceride. So evidence of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease can be found in certain types of hepatic function tests, including ASAT, which is the aspartate aminotransferase, and alanine aminotransferase, which is ALT or ALT. And the AST is an enzyme found in cells throughout the body, but mostly it's in the heart and the liver. And in healthy individuals, most of the AST in the blood, is usually low. And when the liver and the muscles are injured, then it releases AST into the blood. Very similar to when you have a heart attack and the troponins are released into the blood when the muscle is damaged. In the ALT, the alanine aminotransferase is also an enzyme. It's found in the cells of the liver and the kidney, but normally level in the blood is also low. But when the liver is damaged, it's also released in the blood and the levels increase. So today we're going to present a case history of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. For the last 14 years, this person has a history of smoking, quit smoking after 12 years, presented with other underlying conditions such as stomach discomfort, inflammation of the esophagus caused by the accumulation of toxins in his body. And his doctors referred to that this toxicity was the cause of his non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So baseline hepatic function tests were taken in March of 2020. And at that time, he started taking the clean slate 10 drops twice a day. But when he had the test actually revealed that he was both in the upper limits of both the OSHAT and the ALT test. So then when he got the test in March 2020, he actually increased his clean slate to 20 drops twice a day. And then when we presented it in, I think it was June 2020, and then we saw like there was a significant difference, right? So baseline hepatic function tests were repeated after 3 months, June 2020, revealing a significant decrease in both values. His OSAT levels dropped from 48 to 29, and his ALT levels dropped from 118 to 75. I'll show it to you on the next slide. The decrease of his OSAT level represents a change in category from above normal limits to well within the normal range. And the change in the ALT represents a change in almost 2 times the upper limits of the normal to only 5 units above this range. So since the last findings, he resumed the usual dose of 10 drops. So after June, after we did the second test, he went back to, instead of doing 20 drops twice a day, he actually cut back to 10 drops twice a day, which is the normal dose. So in addition to substantial change in his laboratory values, he lost 12 kilos on top of it. 12 kilos of weight he presented such an improvement in the underlying stomach issues that he had. He was actually taking proton pump inhibitors, taking 2 a day. He cut back to 1 a day, and like 1 in the evening. He says he feels great starting the clean slate, and now is looking well, at that time was looking forward to the next medical appointment instead of actually dreading them, indicating that he also has an improvement in his quality of life in addition to the laboratory changes. So if we look at the first test, the OSAT test here, you see here, when we first reported, it was here, and that was doing the 20 drops. Then he just did the normal drops, 10 drops twice a day. But that's over, like this point here is from June. This is a whole year. It's really impressive. You just don't see that happening.
But to look at his starting point was where?
Yeah, here 48 down to 26 now. The reference here is below 45. So that's one test. The next test is the ALOT test. So you see here, the reference used to be below 70, and he started at 118, went down to 75, and now it's down to 54. Is like, it's very low. It's very good. Like over a year.
Like in very healthy ranges, and it's
stabilized. This green area here is the range you want to be in. Okay.
And in all measurements, he's on the low end of the healthy side. So almost like he's eliminated the risk of the issues because
he doesn't have any longer, because if you look at this test, this is the B12. So in B12, this actually substantiates the results that he has on the ALOT and the ALT test, or the OSAT and the ALT test. So with the B12, when you have increased B12, so excess B12 is actually, removed from the urine, but when you have this high level of B12, it's also an indication for liver disease such as cirrhosis and hepatitis. And you see here, his levels were quite high, even when he did the test back in June. And so it's in the green now. It can go down further, but it's still, it's really positive, because this substantiates the other tests for the fatty liver, because usually this goes hand in hand. If you look here you see here, it's out of range here. If we go back, you see it's out of range there, it's out of range here. It's not out of range here, but it was out of range there. In addition, I said, well, let's take a look at your cholesterol levels and see what's going on here, because, right, he lost 12 kilos. So this is really good. He's getting down more into the range you want to be. And this is the serum cholesterol here, 4.4. He's not on any type of cholesterol medication whatsoever.
All healthy and happy. Well, I asked him to come on if he so chooses.
Okay. I know.
And in this time frame, he also became a dad or a father.
Yes. His baby is 1 year old now.
Can you believe that? We have to get a Root baby check because this is the original Root baby.
Oh, yes. Come online, Tommy. Let's hear you.
Hello.
There we go.
How are you?
I'm just trying to get my level back to where it was in the beginning.
You're feeling pretty good. How's the young one doing now that you have a 1-year-old?
He's very good, and he's big for his age. We just visit a couple of friends now with a automobile we just bought, and they said that, oh my gosh, is he only 1 year old? And very strong, very active. The healthcare is saying that yeah, he haven't been sick since he was born in 1 year. Nothing. It's 1 drop every day. So it's nice.
Healthy babies.
Yeah, Michelle also was doing it because she had problems with her high blood sugar. So to do when we were trying the clean slate, and it helped her a lot. And we find out that when he was born, we will continue giving him 1 drop each every day, and we are still doing that for, yeah, he's almost 1 year now, the 28th of July. So he's raised and born with the clean slate.
Oh, and but before that, we actually, I remember correctly, we actually had to give her some flower essence in the beginning.
True. That was how we.
Oh, she's botanically enhanced.
Yeah, that's how she got pregnant. We gave her because
it was not me. It was not me. It was the flower essence.
Oh yeah, it was a combination. Yes, yeah. And then because Root wasn't even around yet.
Nope, that's true. That's true. So it was nice. So
can I ask which essence, Dory, you and Claire used? Was it passion fruit?
No. Claire and I have actually developed body targeted organ remedies based on the Rofus device that Dr. Rao was showing us the other day. We actually have remedies targeted for each system. So we had her tested, and then Tommy has the device, and yes. And we tested her and we gave her the appropriate remedies. But then she started having trouble with, I'm not even supposed to be talking about this because this is an ISNS call. We'll have to split this call up. But and it's a testimonial call, which we don't want to have this going out. But anyway, so what we did, so you know what, let me say that this is a nice thing. Like when you come on these calls, you never know what we're going to talk about, right? And so we talk about things that, you know, you're not going to find this. We're not going to put this out on the YouTube, most likely. But anyway, so Michelle actually had gestational diabetes, or starting to have gestational diabetes. Is that not correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And then went on the clean slate. That seemed to help her, and it never went into gestational diabetes, had the baby, and she continued to stay on the clean slate even while she was breastfeeding. And then you were giving Aaron 1 drop by mouth, right, every day.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Correct.
I think at your 1 month checkup, you actually told me that the doctor was really surprised how he was like so aware. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, we were. I don't remember what age he was, if it was 6 months or before.
No, it was 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
It was the 1 month. It was the first checkup. Right?
First checkup. Yeah. Correct. And the lady was saying that he was so aware of everything that happened, and he was following her when she was trying to give her hands, and he was looking, and she was asking what kind of incredible kid this was, because already after a few weeks he's noticing everything and following you with the eyes and everything. So that was nice. And when I go to her now, I was there last time. She's always smiling. She's a Danish lady, and she's saying that he's perfect. He's perfect. He's perfect every time I'm going there. Because I've been staying home now for a few months, so that's nice.
The simple answer is he's my son. Of course he's perfect.
Of course. He said that I had some infection in my body, and I got a disease when I was traveling to a foreign country many years ago, and they didn't find out what was wrong. After that one, my liver was starting to grow, and I had to go have a checkup every 6 months for the last 10 years. So, yeah.
With the treatment protocols that he was following with his physicians, they weren't able to get him better, right?
Right.
I mean, he was on a journey where they were tracking to slow down the progression.
Right, Tommy? There you are.
Sorry.
You might have
yes, correct.
How safe it is for pregnancy and breastfeeding. I think Tommy's wife's kind of solved that problem. She's got now almost a 1-year-old that is advanced quicker than most kids and is very, very healthy.
Well, Kirsten's baby is pretty healthy too.
Well, that's just because Kirsten's amazing. Maybe it's not that the baby has amazing clean slate in its blood. Maybe it's just that the baby has your blood.
Well, that's true too. But she had a very difficult, I don't know do you know her story? Have you heard her story before?
Like when she was trying to get the little dude out or through the entire process?
Yeah, that part. That was bad.
Well, I guess.
Hi, Michelle.
Yeah, Kathy Jo just talks about it a lot. I can't shut up about it. Yeah, I would love to brag on her just a little bit if you allow
go
me
ahead.
to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, she is now 5.5 months old. But from the very beginning, she was very alert. She would track with her eyes. I watched her because I'm like, okay, I want to see what this stuff is going to do. I had, some expectations maybe, and I just wanted to see, and so we would watch her, and she not only was tracking with her eyes at just a few days old, but she would turn her head and watch people walk away from her. She could hold her head up almost immediately. She had to go back into the hospital to get some blood work when she was a week old. And she fought them so hard. Oh. And they were like, I can't believe how strong this little thing is. They could hardly get, they wanted to draw some blood out of her hand and they couldn't hold on to her. And my daughter brought her home from the hospital and I went over to pick her up out of her car seat. And this is a week old. She got her feet up underneath her and pushed herself out of the car seat.
Oh, wow.
Up onto her. I was like, I could not believe what I just felt underneath her. And so, from the very beginning, just a strong baby, very alert, smiley, vocal. And we're looking at all the charts, the developmental charts of when babies should be doing certain things. And she was so far ahead of everything.
Wow.
And so, here she is, she's 5.5 months old. She's already done all of the things, she's rolling over back and forth. She's not mastered crawling, but she's almost there. And she's very vocal. She laughs. She's standing. My daughter stood her up to a table. And she held onto the table and just stood there. When she was only 9 weeks old, I was holding her up by her waist because she could hold herself up, but I was supporting her, so she didn't fall over, but she was standing on my lap and she literally walked all the way up to my shoulders. She was 9 weeks old and she took one step at a time all the way up to my shoulders. And when my daughter would hold on to her, from a distance, she would walk into her. And so, she's got all these little step things down, and she's saying her dada now. She just started that yesterday. And that was her big thing yesterday. She's sitting up. She started sitting up a couple weeks ago. And this has all been right around 5 months. She can sit up on her own, unsupported. She's rolling back and forth. She's crawling. She is talking. And just amazing. She watched fireworks and she was mesmerized by them. She just stared at them.
And how much clean slate is she taking? Is it just one drop?
She's only taking a drop a day, but I started Mom. The thing that got me on Mom was my daughter had gastric bypass surgery, and I heard Clayton on an interview with someone, and they were talking about somebody who had gastric bypass surgery and lost a whole lot of weight. And about 6 months later, they started showing symptoms of what would have been diagnosed as MS, and because of the major release of toxins into this person's system. And it scared me to death. And I said, girl, you got to get on this stuff now. And so she got on it about a month before she conceived, and she stayed on it throughout her pregnancy. And then, babies, she's given it to her every day. And she just amazes us. And everybody who sees her just can't believe the difference in how she responds to things. And the one thing the other day that kind of really tickled me was the thing about her saying that she was so big. And I had been saying that to her for a long time, but she didn't really respond to it. And then one day she threw her hands up in the air. And when I said she was so big, and we just all got a big kick out of it. But the other day she was laying down on the bed, and I said, so are you so big? And she threw her hands up over her head, laying down on the bed.
Oh, that's great.
And I'm like, so, I mean, it's like she was not upright. It didn't, you know what I'm saying? She didn't lift her hands up to the ceiling. She just threw them up over her head.
Yeah, she
really understood.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, I'm done.
Couple things. One, the Environmental Working Group is published enough literature. I think it was 15 years ago. I can't remember when the body study first came out. A woman will push, not just pass, but will push heavy metals, other environmental toxins into the fetus, of detoxifying the woman. And we actually, so if you can start, as Michelle was talking about, with a woman preconception, and then during gestation, and then after birth, to where mom is getting it and baby is getting it, you're going to have the healthiest kids possible. And we've seen some really, really cool results. I don't know if Matt's here, but one of our customers, he has I think a 6-month-old son that is, they've done a lot of, really, really good stuff with mom and with baby to be as healthy as possible. The first drop that his son got the first night, he said he broke out in a rash all over his stomach and legs, showed no sign of discomfort, no interruption in behavior, but the next morning it was all gone, and he was happier, more active than he'd ever been. So you could see the kid clear stuff, because we know our skin is a primary detox pathway. See the kid clear it, but he showed no discomfort of it. The earlier the better. And honestly, because of, I'll say the concentration or the potency of clean slate, smaller the organism, the more dramatic the results you're going to see in a quicker time frame than cats or small human beings.
Well, I think we should wrap it up. We're almost to the hour now. All right. Any other questions? Hey, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. I've just been having real tough time with someone about touchstone. I know that, you know, the PBX and the nanoparticles. And I came across a paper, which I posted in Root Nordic, where they said that nano zeolite could, you know, potentially, well, I think they said, I can't remember what the exact words were, but it was, they could do some damage. But they're really good for, so it works in the favor of if you've got tumors. Now, I know we're not a nano, which is great. But, you know, there is this big thing about nano being the in word and everything's got to be nano. And there isn't much information about why the nano might not be so good. With
Well,
regard to
it's something that people, like you said, have used as a buzzword. Their analytical chemistry doesn't match what their claims are. And you don't want to, one, I haven't seen anybody legitimately do it, but two, you don't want a completely nano product, especially when it comes to creating cages and what the molecular structure is of clinoptilolite. We've done two types of testing for particle size analysis. The original testing was what we really wanted to see, which showed the initial range of fragments, which we have since expanded and made a broader range of fragments and a higher concentration of fragments than even what we had initially done. But the initial range was between 0.8 and over 100 microns in size. And then because people asked questions about nano, we also did a nanoparticle analysis, which I believe anything in the nano range is not, it's not a cage structure, it's a fragment. And in our instance, it's likely just silica, which is a very, very good thing. The nano range that we had was between 100 and 300 nanometers in fragment size, but I'd say 90+% of the fragments in clean slate all range in the, you know, between 1 micron and over 100 microns in size. And you don't want just a standard size. You want a broad range because your body has a broad range of issues that these little guys can be beneficial in different areas of the body in different manners. And their larger size means that there's more porous capacity, which means there's more binding capability. And because of the addition of trace minerals and because of the addition of the ascorbic acid, clean slate, and this is what's really, really important because of people really promoting the zeolite space. You got to remember where our backgrounds come from. And when I say our, I mean Christina's, that she comes from biotech and pharma. They not only know how to take nature and synthesize it, because it's the one thing people don't really comprehend about what biotech does or what pharma does. They will take a specific component of a natural ingredient, synthesize it so they can make a drug out of it. You know, so what she's done is basically taken a step back of not just taking clinoptilolite, saying, okay, let's take this component, let's synthesize it. We've taken this amazing natural structure and just enhanced it. And then we've loaded it and added to it to make a superstructure. And this is one of the things that she was learning when she was at Harvard, studying nanotechnology and bioscience engineering, which will give you a hint as to what we're doing, because she was the only one that was not in biotech, not in research, and not with the military that was in those courses. There was no one else in the wellness world that was in these Harvard programs that are no longer offered. So if you really want to understand what you're doing, you actually have to understand a bioscience engineering component, and you'd really have to dive into a lot of the real interesting published literature that's been done on clinoptilolite and why it's a drug in every other country besides the United States, is because this stuff is used and is being investigated for its biotech capabilities as a drug delivery mechanism, for its tissue regeneration capabilities, for its ability to act as a tumor suppressor. It's quite unique. You just have to deliver it properly, which is what we've done. So while you have loads of research being done on this natural mineral and how you can create a a synthesis to use it in biotech and pharma. We've taken a different approach and just used the mechanisms, the philosophy, the knowledge of said industries and applied it to the wellness world. We don't want to be pharma. We don't want to be biotech. We want to do what we're doing to give it to the masses, but we have that level of science. That's the disconnect. And that's where when someone asks us, oh, is this like these other zeolite products? No, it's not. It's not even close. And that's also why you don't see clinoptilolite on the label, because we take the purest source of clinoptilolite and we process it into an even greater superstructure into its greatest levels of capability that have ever been done before. And that's not marketing, that's fact.
Oh, we're seeing that with all the outcomes, the amazing outcomes that everybody's having.
And that's just it, is they speak for themselves. I just finished a webinar with some of our new ambassadors. I don't know if Shanna or Jill are on here, but they've used the other product, Marina, that you were talking about, and the messages that they sent me yesterday. They're like, we have people that have been using these other products for years, and within one drop, within their first drop, it was an holy cow moment that they've never had something feel like they were experiencing with one drop of clean slate. And it also explains the quantum aspect of what we're doing, because you can't develop or create the outcomes or the responses that we're getting just on a physical basis. You can't take one drop of something in this manner and get the results that we're doing if it was not energetic and not electrical and not quantum.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you. What's weirdly important when you look at the science of clinoptilolite, you look at the porous structure, because clino is like a honeycomb, right?
Mm-hmm.
The pore size of each cage. So if you look at the sodium aluminosilicate in this three-dimensional honeycomb, each cell of the honeycomb, the porous structure ranges between 10 to 50 nanometers in size. If you're claiming that your fragments themselves are smaller than that, how can you have a cage structure? You can't. Science doesn't make sense. And that's the big part, is you have companies that are claiming things, but they're not doing the proper testing. They're not even showing information that is scientifically accurate or valid in their marketing materials. Exactly. We're talking about clinical outcomes that are publishable, and then we're talking about making amazing babies. And I'm pretty sure there's not much of a placebo effect you can get with a newborn.
All right, everyone. We're at the top of the hour, so our time is up for today. And so next week we're not going to have a man's conversation, because the men want to do it on their own. But we'll have a ladies' call where the men aren't going to be invited.
Wonderful.
Right.
A good trade-off.
Here's what we'll do, Dory. Okay, so next week we're doing dual calls. I'll set up the second call. Dory will do the ladies' call. I will see if she can have a special guest by the name of Dr. Rom. And maybe we'll pull some other amazing women to talk. And then I will do men's club.
So what
from my studio.
What time are you going to do that at?
At the same time, so you can't try to join it.
Oh, you're so clever.
Healthy competition.
Okay. We'll do that then.
And all of the men will be on video, so we can make sure that there's no women trying to snipe and get in and
same thing.
And steal information from men's club.
You're going to have to have your video on. So you use your own link. I have mine.
Exactly.
Just get a woman identified as a man.
Here's the deal with men's club. Here's the deal with men's club, because I just saw the question.
Okay.
Vice versa.
Okay, good night, everyone. Have a great day. Good
night.
wherever you are.
Have a good
And
day,
then
good night.
we will
Goodbye.
see
Terrific
you
Zoom
next
call.
week. We'll see the
All
ladies
the best.
over
Thanks,
here
everyone.
Look after
Thank you,
yourselves.
and over
Tommy.
there.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.